everyone, it's Wacky Anime What If here to present you with What If Deku Had the I.M.P Quirk, Part 4. Let's get into it. Currently, Izuku is with, well, his family. He's with Blitzo, Moxie, and Millie, and Luna. Currently, they're all in a van driving towards Lululand, as Izuku likes to call it, the land of pedophiles. Same with Moxie. And Millie gets a little bit mad because she actually likes this place. I mean, she likes it when her parents could swing it money-wise. While Luna ends up, well, just not really caring. Like, she's just dragged here because Izuku was prank-calling her so much that she honestly just yeeted her desk and is waiting for a new desk to arrive and a new phone. And aside from that, is the fact that she also wants to spend some time with Izuku and them. Though she doesn't want to admit it. While Blitzo is just... well, he's Blitzo. He's just a little crazy, and he's driving exactly on the wrong side of the road, while Izuku's just screaming, "You're on the wrong side of the road, Blitzo!" And Blitzo's just like, "No, no, no. I'm not on the wrong side of the road. Everyone else is." POV change. Currently, you see Blitzo's car on the exact wrong side of the road. He's like almost ramming into everyone, just driving forward while everyone's driving the opposite way. And immediately, some guy known as Phil, POV change, Phil is currently driving to work. He's very late, so he's rushing really, really fast. He ends up going and he sees this one car that's running right towards him. Holy shit! He says, "Oh, fuck." POV change. Blitzo's looking in front of him and he sees this fat-ass motherfucker that looks like a Phil screaming, "Oh, fuck." And then he's like, "Oh, shit," before they both collide. Right when they collide, Izuku immediately kicks open the back door, gets out of it, out of the actual van, and says, "What the fuck was that, Blitzo? I told you you're on the wrong side of the road." While Blitzo's like, "No, he just ran right into me. You saw that, right?" While looking at Millie and Moxie, and they both nodded, but Moxie said, "Sir, you were on the wrong side of the road." While Luna just kicked open the side door, gets out and is very pissed, and just looks at Izuku and says, "So, who was the dumbass that ended up running into us?" Izuku just looks at the really fat guy that just got out of the car, like his belly button literally exited the car before he does. So right when he got out of the car, Izuku's like, he did it, but we were on the wrong side of the road. Before he could even finish, Luna just rushed towards him, and Izuku just looked at the guy and said, "Hey, fat ass, run, while the fat ass says, "My name is Phil," and before he can even finish, he just gets ripped into pieces by Luna, who just immediately bites into his torso and just starts swinging him around like he's a chew toy. And Izuku was just like, "Oh, don't make me summon a portal." And he just pulls out a newspaper from the portal, and Luna just looks at it, Izuku, and says, "It's my one-time enemy, the newspaper." And Izuku immediately hits her in the head with the newspaper, and she just backs away. The guy's currently on the ground and is wondering, "What did I do to deserve this?" He mutters that out loud, and Blitzo just walks towards him and says, "Well, you drove on the wrong side of the road." Right after saying that, he's like, "Oh, I didn't drive on the wrong side of the road. You drove, like, on the opposite side. Like, who does that?" While Blitzo said, "Me, I do that." And Izuku says, "Can we just go ahead and go to our client?" I think he's just, like, really tired of waiting. I mean, it's not that far from here. They all start to walk, and immediately POV change. Currently, Stolas has already gotten Blitzo and, well, his company to end up, well, protecting him and his daughter. So, Blitzo also had some concerns that Izuku would try some moves on his daughter, but he's very confident on the fact that his daughter will not fall for such moves. After all, he doesn't think she's the loving type. So he immediately is in the limo. He drives with Octavia on the side, immediately driving all the way up to Lululand, while looking and seeing Blitzo and his associates arriving, and noticing that one green-haired guy started shouting out, "Oh my god, that guy must be eccentric as fuck to have that limo. I mean, it's diamond encrusted." And Stolas realizes, "Oh, I have the diamond encrusted limo. Oh, yeah, I forgot I bought that here." He exits out the limo, and immediately Izuku says, "Oh my god, it's a giant bird, bitch." While Stolas looks at him has the blank face, says, really? While Izuku has the face, says, yes, really. And then this goes on for a few minutes before Blitzo just, like, backs it up and says, alright. First, Stolas, introduce yourself to Izuku, please. Stolas says, alright, my name is Stolas, and I am also known as one of the princes of hell. Also, it's not Bird Bitch, it's Bird Man. Immediately, Izuku starts chuckling and says, I like this guy. While immediately Stolas says, well, I like you too, Izuku. And immediately puts his hand on Izuku's shoulder, and Izuku in his mind is like, now this just feels weird. While Stolas feels just in his head just says, I think I might have made the situation weird. And Izuku just moves his hand slowly and says, okay, you kind of made it weird. While Stolas says, yeah, I thought I did too. He just like slumps downwards. Then he looks behind him and says, so who's this? And Octavia looked exactly towards him. And immediately just looks back into her phone. Just really looked into her phone afterwards. And started playing a few songs and listening to it. Izuku says, she doesn't seem like the friendly type. Is she an emo bird or... I mean, I heard those are rare. While Stolas says, no, she's not what you call an emo bird. Well, she is emo and she is a bird. Who am I kidding? Yeah, she's an emo bird. Immediately, Izuku says, so does the emo bird have a name, or did you not name it, or... And he said, oh, this is my daughter, Octavia. Well, Izuku says, alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and put these glasses on. He immediately puts on the glasses, and Blitzo recognizes the glasses. Those are Mr. Fuck your daughter glasses, so Blitzo immediately says, oh no, this is not gonna go well. Izuku walks up towards Octavia, and Octavia just looks at him like, oh, I see you're approaching me. While Izuku says, I have to approach you to ask you out. While Octavia just says, oh, then come as close as you like. As Stolas is like literally seeing this, he's like, oh my god, she isn't actually attacking him or eating him out a window or something. I mean, I remember the time when I tried to wake her up out of bed and she threw me out of a fucking window, but hey, that was a long time ago. Currently, Izuku is just walking towards her and asking what type of songs does she listen to. She immediately says, well, the song that I'm listening to is called Fuck You, Dad. And immediately she says this while looking towards Stolas, and Stolas says, oh, that's depressing. And he puts his head down, and she immediately says, no, it's the band. Also, fuck you, Dad. And immediately Stolas, like, when he heard that it was the band, had his hopes up, and he was smiling, before she said, oh, also, fuck you, Dad. And immediately put his head down, and Izuku's just laughing. He's bursting out laughing. It's like, oh my god, that was hilarious. Do it again. He's jumping up and down like a kid. Which, for some reason, Octavia finds herself slightly attracted to that. And then she's wondering, like, her actual preferences and things. She's starting to question life. And Izuku's like, Earth the bird, bitch. Earth the bird, bitch. And snaps his fingers in front of her face, calling her out of her trance. She immediately looks at him and said, did you just call me a bird, bitch? And Izuku said, yeah. While Stolas looks at him and says, run. And Izuku's like, I'm already 10 steps ahead of you. And then just looks down and sees that there's just a recording of him saying it. And Octavia is now running across Lululand trying to find Izuku. While Izuku's now in front of a tent. And he immediately is thinking, should I walk in here? I hear crying children. So there's a 10% chance there's a pedophile in there. And immediately he sees the mascot behind him. And the mascot walks up towards him from behind and says, hi there, how you doing? Got some nice candy apples in my pants. All I gotta do is dig in there. Immediately Izuku's like, you know what, I'll just take my chances inside the tent. Thank you very much. And he just starts running into the tent. And right when he does, the apple guy says, bring that fat ass back here. And he starts slowly walking away. Izuku's now in the tent. He's like sitting down in the bleachers. And he's watching this dancing clown terrify children. He's starting to clap and cheer. He's like, go terrifying ass clown. Or should I say Pennywise reject. And immediately everyone just looks at him and they start oohing. While Fizzarolli looks at him and says, oh, if it isn't the green mop, well, I could use your face to clean up this entire stage, but hey, what do I know? He immediately walks towards Izuku, and Izuku just walks towards him and says, you know, are you a rent-a-clown or something? Also, how does your tall ass fit inside that tiny ass fucking car? As he points towards the car beside him, and Fizzarolli says, well, I can fit inside of a lot of things. And he says with a devious smile, which Izuku found that really creepy. So he just backs away a little bit and says, okay, I'm pretty sure that you shouldn't say that in front of children. While Fizzarolli says, fuck those children. He just yeets them out of the tent. While Izuku says, oh, okay, so you just activated my trap card. While Fizzarolli says, wait, you're a trap? Wait, does that mean you're a female? And immediately Izuku says, just face palms and says, no, it does not mean that. And he says, are you sure? And Izuku says, you know what, fuck this gun. And immediately Fizzarolli says, wait, what, gun? And then immediately pulls out a gun out of his jacket pocket and just shoots Fizzarolli directly in the head. And Fizzarolli just grabs the bullet into his mouth, just basically just chomps out on it, and just spits it out. And Izuku just says, oh, well, what did that mouth do? And immediately he starts running out of the tent. Fizzarolli just grabs him, just slinks around him, basically, just wraps himself around him, and just yeets him out of the tent. He flies out of the tent and lands in what literally is the worst place to land. It says unconventional torches. Inconvenient torches. He immediately lands in it, and all the torches fly everywhere, setting everything on fire. POV change. Currently, Octavia is still trying to find Izuku. He found him crashed into inconvenient torches. Who does that, is what she says. And then she says, well, at least he's burning down corporate shame, she says, while eyeing directly at the mascot, who's still chasing after people, and is currently offering free ice creams if they enter inside of the certain ride roller coaster that's called his van. And immediately she's thinking, oh, okay, now this place has pedophiles. Congratulations, this is even worse than corporate shame. And Izuku is just getting up, and she sees him basically fighting against a robotic, anorexic fucking clown. And then she doesn't know who to cheer for. So she starts cheering for Izuku instead. Izuku POV. She hears an owl cheering for him, looks directly at Octavia and says, okay, the only cheering I want is in the bedroom. And as soon as he said that, she just immediately looks away from him, just walks away. Izuku, the moment that he looked towards her, Fizzarolli was already rushing at him, just punches directly at him in the face, and all Izuku does is dodge to the right, punch him directly in the left of the face. He turns to the left, Izuku sweep kicks him directly in the back of the knee on his right. He falls to the ground, and Izuku grabs him by the face with his left hand and yeets him. He eats him directly in front of a stall stand, which Moxie's trying to win a prize for Millie. Immediately crashing the stand, all the ugly thing that, well, Moxie was trying to win for Millie, which oddly looked like him, ended up flying into the air, and immediately Moxie catches it and hands it to Millie and says, here you go, while Millie says, oh, do you know why I wanted this ugly thing? Because it reminded me of you. And Moxie's like, oh, wait, what? And she starts laughing while Moxie just pouts. And then he notices there's a rape clown in front of him. He says that because as soon as Fizzarolli got up, he had the face that just said rape. Immediately, Moxie's danger sense started tingling. And then he started just grabbing Millie and started fucking running. While Blitzo, who was just across the actual stand, is looking at Fizzarolli. They're staring at each other, and they're giving themselves an old and really, 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 really stupid look. Blitzo's just staring at him like he just saw the weirdest thing in the world. And then he ends up saying, oh, if it isn't Fizzarolli, the knockoff clown. While Fizzarolli says, well, if it isn't Blitzo, unlike you, I have people who love me. Does anyone love you, Blitzo? He says, and immediately Blitzo says, well, my son loves me. And I'm also very good with guns now. He just starts shooting at him, and right when he shoots at Blitzo, Blitzo does the same thing and grabs the actual bullets with his mouth. And immediately just shoots them back at Blitzo. And Blitzo says, what did that mouth do? Before he starts dodging bullets. And he says, whoops, you missed me. Whoop, 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 whoop. And he starts running away. And Fizzarolli's just chasing after him, while Izuku's chasing after him with a hatchet that he found. And he's like running towards him. Fizzarolli runs into this abandoned house that's in the circus area. It was an abandoned house, like a fun house. Immediately walks in there, and all Izuku does is run in, sees Fizzarolli, who's chasing Blitzo. Blitzo goes into a little room. He closes the door behind him, and immediately Fizzarolli, who's banging on the door, says, Blitzo, you can't hide forever. He pushes his face into the door, breaking the door, having his face sticking into it, stuck a little. And then he says, here's Fizzarolli. And immediately Blitzo says, I have a feeling that was a reference to something, but I don't know what that was. While Fizzarolli just looks at him with the deadpan face saying, you don't know one of the most popular horror references in, oh my god, what rock have you been living under? While all of a sudden, Izuku's face is right beside Fizzarolli, just bursting through the wall, and says, here's Izuku, while Fizzarolli just looks at him. They both look at each other. And then Blitzo looks at them both and says, I still don't know what reference you're referring to. They both look at him, and Izuku says, alright, after I'm done whooping his ass, I'm gonna whoop yours. And Blitzo says, alright, I'm just gonna go read out of this window real quick. He just starts running towards the window, just jumps out of it, and he starts running all the way out of Lululand towards the I.M.P building. While Izuku's looking at Fizzarolli, he bursts open the entire door like the Kool-Aid Man. He just ripped off the entire door. And Fizzarolli's still stuck inside the actual door. So all that Izuku does is yeet the door out the window. And he flies out of the window with it. Izuku jumps out the window, not even wanting to use the steps. Just like a badass, and just steps directly onto the back of Fizzarolli, making his robotic spine start to crunch a little and break. He immediately pulls out a shotgun out of his jacket pocket. And Fizzarolli is like, how are you pulling out so many guns out of your goddamn pocket? And immediately he says, oh, you see this? He opens his jacket pocket, and you see a portal right beside the inside of his coat. He's like, I just grabbed him from my office. He just starts shooting him in the face over and over with shotgun shells and reloading at the same time. Like 16 times. And then he's like, all right, now time to pull out the Uzis. He starts pulling out the Uzis and starts shooting him directly in the chest over and over. Then he pulls out a whole katana. And Fizzarolli's like, this is just overkill, you son of a bitch. While Izuku just looks at him and says, I know you are, but who is Blitzo? While Fizzarolli laughs a little bit and says, he's a bitch. While Izuku's like, I'm glad you know that, now die. He just immediately slices the katana down right on his neck, and it pops off. Izuku just walks out and says, I'm not taking another bodyguard mission ever again. He immediately puts the katana in the sheath and says, wait, I didn't even bodyguard her. Oh well. He starts walking off, and he sees at the entrance, he sees Moxie and Millie apparently got him an explosion, and a cat dragging away Millie. Now, Izuku is thinking whether to record this happening or to actually help her. But his little good guy sense that he has, is saying to help her. So he immediately says, alright, I'll save you from the cat. He runs towards Millie, he grabs her by the back of the collar, and yeets her away from the theme park. And the cat just looks at him like, what the fuck? I was just trying to drag her away for some safety. And Izuku looks at the cat like, alright, so I have saved her successfully from this cat. The cat's just looking like adorable and just looking at him. I was trying to save her. Well, he says, I totally saved her. And then the cat literally is like, I'm just going to walk away from this. While Moxie's like, did you just throw my wife? And then Izuku's like, oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to throw you too. And Moxie's like, please don't. And Izuku's like, Izuku, yes. And he throws Moxie directly where Millie was. And then sees Stolas and Octavia walking towards him. Immediately, Izuku's like, so did you two have the heart-to-heart? And immediately, Octavia says, well, yeah, we did. You want to go to this weird place that has taxidermy? While Izuku looks at them with a deadpan face until it turns into a smile, and he says, fuck yeah, I do. And then all of a sudden, both Octavia and Izuku are like, yeah! They start screaming that, while Stolas is meekly saying, yeah. And that's where I'm going to end What If Deku Had the I.M.P Quirk Part 4. I hope you all like it. If you do, make sure you smash the like button to oblivion. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification bell if you want to have more. Now let's go ahead and end this.